Hello, my historical fashion friends, and welcome to the 250 subscriber celebration episode. I have 300 subscribers now, but I took a long time to do this because my top point is that I'm going to be doing a $250 matching charity contribution for the Save the Children charity. Right now, there are children suffering from a lot of conflict around the world. We all know that there is the war in Ukraine, and there's also conflicts in Palestine and Yemen as well, where children really need our help. And so I thought it would be a great way to help make a difference for those children to do a matching contribution. So I have set up a GoFundMe, and I'm going to match up to $250. So if we reach $250, the foundation is actually going to get $500. And I really hope that you're all excited about this. One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to kind of, have a platform and make YouTube videos is because there's a lot of different sort of things that I want to help and, be able to make more of a difference on than I can as an individual. And one of the great things about YouTube and a lot of the YouTubers I follow is that they've been able to use their platform to help make a difference for different charities that mean a lot to them. And so I hope if you're able to financially, you can join in and give a little donation. It's going to go double the distance with this matching contribution. And thank you all for reaching this milestone with me, and I'm really happy. I get a lot of great comments from people who say that the videos help them or figure out what they're making or what they're working on, and just kind of give them something enjoyable to watch. And I'm really excited about that. And I am always working on trying to make the videos better for you all and make them more enjoyable for you. So thank you again for 250 and now 300. So as I mentioned before, today I am going to be making a crown to go over my veil for this outfit, and I have here some air dry clay, and it's just normal air dry clay like kids could use, but I'm going to try to make a crown out of this because of course it would be made with metalwork, but I don't really have the capabilities to be doing metalwork at home. So we're going to pretend by making a clay crown, and then I will paint it afterwards, and we're going to be doing some decorations on it as well. So let's get started. And as I mentioned before as well, this is a Q&A, so I have some questions from people that I'm going to be answering. Okay, so as I just pull out what I hope is enough clay for this crown, I'm going to answer the first question, which is that someone asked, can I make costumes for Smokey? If you're watching this, you probably know who Smokey is. He is my cat. And I would love to make costumes. I would love to make costumes for him, but I don't think that he would love to wear costumes. Just because he doesn't like clothes. He did wear like a little scarf I made, which was tablet woven, and he was a pretty good sport about that. But in general, he just kind of doesn't like clothing or leashes. We tried to get him to be trained on a harness, but he was an outdoor cat for 4 years. And so, he's just not accustomed to that sort of thing, and he gets really distressed if we try to put anything on him, so we just don't do that for him, unfortunately, even though I know he would look extremely cute with, like, a little ruff or something. But, if he changes his mind in the future and tells me he would like to wear an outfit, I will make him something, but for now, he's just not going to wear any clothes, because he will be mad. And this does bring me to another question which someone asked, which is they noticed that he has an ear tip. So the tip of one of his ears is cut off, and they asked if he used to be a community cat, which he did. He was a cat who lived in a colony outside, and he was living there for 4 years, and someone I know was feeding him. And when we moved here, we started walking around our neighborhood and we saw these cats, so we started feeding them, and then we met the woman who had been feeding them for actually quite some time, and she kind of became friends with us, and we started feeding them every night. And Smokey was so friendly, he would start to follow us home, and he would sit outside and look in the window, and we were really sad to, like, you know, have to keep leaving him every night. And I had a roommate at the time, well, we did, my husband and I, and our roommate unfortunately was allergic to cats, but then one day he had kind of a limp, and I got really concerned, and so I just picked him up and brought him inside, and he has been our baby ever since. He absolutely loves being an indoor cat, and he does not want to go out at all. He actually, like, seems pretty scared of outside noises. I always call the garbage truck his nemesis, because if he hears the sound of the garbage truck, he gets really nervous and runs under the bed. So he must have had some sort of garbage truck run-in in his childhood, because he is very much not a fan of the garbage truck. But yeah, he was lucky to be, you know, a really friendly outdoor cat. There's a lot of other community cats that I feed, and not all of them really want to seem to come inside. A lot of them are still shy, even after, like, the 4 years I've been feeding them, and they just are very, very nervous about people. Even if they let me pet them, I can't pick them up or anything like that. Someday I would love to have a outdoor catio where I could, you know, kind of trap the cats and relocate them to a safer place, because they unfortunately, like, have to just live wherever there's room for them. And there's a lot of people who are unfortunately very mean to these community cats. You know, they think it's funny to throw stuff at them, or you know, just, I've seen people, like, set off fireworks near community cats, and I've had to go and yell at them and, you know, what's wrong with you? Because I just don't understand the impetus to be, like, mean to just helpless creatures, or just mean in general, but especially to, you know, helpless animals that, you know, can't really do anything to protect themselves. And it's really quite sad. So I hope to have a place that I can bring them in the future that will be safe for them. But yeah, that's, I guess, a long story about my cat, Smokey. So I have rolled this out, and I realized that I should, like, know how long my head is, but I don't know how much this is going to shrink, so I'm a little concerned about that as well. Let's see. I'm just gonna leave it like this length for now. But I've just rolled out the fabric. I kind of made it like a long log, like if you remember kind of like elementary school art. I made a long log, and then I rolled it flat with my rolling pin and used a pizza cutter to kind of trim it off into having sort of flat edges. And now I am going to start decorating the outside. I have these stamps that my boss gave me. They say 250. Well, they have all different numbers and letters, but I picked out the 250 to commemorate this occasion. And then I also have these stamps, which are for my leather working kit, which I am going to use to make some different designs on here. Oh, it's gonna be loud. So the next question is, someone asked me about where is a good place to get 70s and 80s style vintage clothing. because it's very popular for shows right now, and this particular person is like a actor friend of mine, so probably they're looking for it for either costumes or kind of audition clothes. And I would say, you know, a vintage store is your best bet. There's some online vintage stores like thrifted.com, or I honestly, I'm pretty sure you're still in Los Angeles, the person who asked this question. But I would look up like a local in-person vintage store that's in your area. I think there's a lot of them in Glendale or the kind of like Echo Park, Highland Park area, and downtown definitely as well. But I would go in and like try stuff on, and also you'll definitely want to consider like what type of character you're going for these time periods, because fashion, especially the 70s, but even, you know, the 80s as well, there's sort of a big difference between what a professional working person would wear when they're going to work, versus, you know, maybe you're going for more of a free spirit type or rocker type, and you'll want to think a lot about what type of character you're going for as well. Right now in our society, there's not as big of a difference between the outfits that you might wear to, you know, hang out with your friends or go to work or do stuff like that. But there was a definitely much more strict dress code. So, you know, if you're going to an office, you'll probably want to wear something close to like a 80s or 70s style suit. And they tended to be a lot more structured than the types of suits that we wear today. You can also probably just go to a Goodwill, because, well, a lot of times when people, you know, pass away, their relatives don't know what to do with all of the stuff that has been left behind, and those clothes a lot of the times end up being from the 70s and 80s. So if you know what kind of vibe you're looking for, you'll be able to go to the thrift store and pick out something that goes with the style that you want to portray. So for my crown, I'm not doing anything based off of like a real legit crown style. I'm just having fun with this for myself, because it's definitely not going to be historically accurate. It's made of clay. But I'm just doing some fun little stamped designs with flowers and leaves, and I really hope they hold up for the drying process. Now I have some questions about weaving, which people have asked. Someone asked what type of loom I use. So I use the Ashford Inkle loom. They also sell an inklet loom, which is a little smaller. But I don't find that my inkle loom takes up too much space. It's probably the least space taking up aspect of my costuming. It's really not that big, and it does make about 9 feet of band, which I haven't really found that I need necessarily a longer amount than that. You can buy them at a variety of different websites like Etsy. Ashford directly doesn't have, you know, a way to order off the site. You kind of have to go to one of their retailers. But there's a lot of places that sell them. And if you wanted to, you could get a bigger loom as well. But I honestly haven't found a need for it. Let's see. And then somebody asked if historically people use the cards with holes in them, and yes, they did. They had holes in their cards. There's some that are triangular. They have 3 holes. There's ones that have 5 holes. Most of them were made with wood or bone, and you actually see some that are quite highly decorated as well. So I think that they were really important to people, and people really took care of their tablet weaving cards and made them something that they would have for quite some time. Okay, so next question. Someone asked how I got into dyeing fabric. And since I was like a little kid, I was interested in like mixing up colors and seeing what sorts of things I could get. I liked always like kind of mixing up paints or even like sand colors. When I was like a kid, I would mix like the light sand with the dirt and like see what came out of that. So I've always been interested in that, and I also have a really big interest in conserving things and secondhand, and basically giving a new life to the things we already own instead of buying a new thing. And I noticed that a lot of my clothes would kind of get, dingy after a while, and the colors weren't as bright, and so a lot of people tend to replace their clothes when that happens. And so I wanted to, instead of, getting a new sweater because I wanted this color or that color, I just started dyeing my clothes and, bringing new life to them that way. And sometimes pretty interesting things can happen as well, because if you have, let's say, a cotton sweater, but the strings are polyester, they won't dye as well as the cotton of the sweater, and so you can get some really nice color contrasts and different effects with that. And then I also, of course, am interested in what the clothing of our ancestors and just historically looked like, and thinking to myself, well, did they really have colors this bright, and what's possible with just natural plant materials? And I've discovered that there's a lot that is very possible, and beautiful bright colors, as we saw in my last video with the turmeric dye. There's great ways to use natural plant materials and get really, really vibrant dyes, basically just as vibrant as you could get with a synthetic dye. And I also like to try different combinations of colors and just see, if we get this much of madder root and this much of welder, or over dyeing, and basically just scientific experiments, but not too scientific because I don't have the patience for really, really exact measurements and stuff. But it's just fun to kind of, make something from its start to its finish. I didn't, to say to myself like, oh, I didn't just, sew this, but I also dyed the fabric, and if I had a little more time, I would be really interested in trying to weave my own fabric, but unfortunately, I think I would never finish anything if I had to start from that process, just with my personal schedule. Okay, and then I have a question. Someone wanted a little more details about sewing gores, and my biggest advice would be like, I think it's easy to get kind of confused about gores, but just remember that the point of your gore always goes where you want the fabric to be the skinniest, and then the largest diameter of the fabric always goes where you want it to be the widest. And historically, basically the gore would be flat, and you would see that the fabric from, let's say, the main body rectangle, if you put a split in it, that would be folded over and then sewn to the gore. The way I do it is I just pin, just to save time, I pin the gore from basically the bottom to the top, and I leave a couple of inches free at the top, not pinned, because I finish the tops of all my gores by hand. But I will sew it with the machine just the same way I would sew any two pieces of fabric together, just a straight seam up. And then I finish the top of the gore by kind of folding it over and then whip stitching it in place. And then on the inside, I will fell it down. I know gussets can also be very confusing as well. But basically, if you were to kind of fold your gusset in half and you have it in your armpit, the skinniest point, so the point goes attached to either side of your rest of your sleeve, and then the basically diagonal widest part would then attach into the body part so that the other point meets down on the body of your garment. So the widest part of the triangle is literally in your armpit. I feel like this is maybe too cluttered, but you know what? It's going to be really fun once we paint it. I'm always like a maximalist. I just can't stop adding to things. So yeah, we've got our 250 subscriber crown going here. And then I guess I should... it would be good to have like a thing to mold it against. I wonder what I could use. Oh no, it's breaking already. Maybe I can use like... It's not going well, folks. I'm just gonna... Let's see. Trying to join them. A hair. I wonder if this is just going to totally like fall down and die. I have to smooth out the crown with some water. Now it says it takes like 3 days for this to dry, but I live in California and it's very like dry out, so maybe it will take less time. So I am going to link the GoFundMe below in the description, and I will probably be putting it in the next couple of episodes as well, so everyone can find it easily, and feel free to share it with anyone that you like to share it with, who you think might be interested in helping out. And I feel like I also need to smooth the other side, but I am like nervous to pick it up. Whoa! I'm falling down. I definitely don't want to like enhance the cracks that are already occurring in this. I feel like I should make it like an oval because I have like a skinny head, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's gonna be good. I don't know. Well, I guess that's it for the Q&A portion for now, and I'm gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna come back when it's done and paint it and try it on. Yay!